Sure.
listen to
Let's
this
do.
lineup, guys. If you don't know this lineup, we've got now three doctors. Coming all the way down to the middle of July, we've got three doctors. We got Dr. Mark Bartlett, who's coming up next. We got Alan Jones and Dr. Stu coming on. We've got two huge power couples. The men in that power couple, we have J.R. Isom and then Tyler Vining, and then three of the most amazing talkers. If you've been to if you've been to the Make conference, you'll know who these three people are. We have Jordan Kemper, Tug Brooks, and Wes Bewley. So this lineup, we're really trying to bring value to these calls. If you guys have anything as far as any questions, anything, please put it in the chat. If you'd like to, see something up next, hear from somebody, just let us know and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, it's gonna be really
Incredible.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the first time Dr. Bartlett's really fired up about it, man. He's pumped up. I talked to him the other day about it. He's ready to freaking go. Alan's told me like 3 times, man. Alan Jones, he's like, man, I'm ready. Let's go, man. We'll go as long as you want to. I'm like, it's not me. It's as long as you want to. And he said, I'm open. I'm like, shoot, let's go then. Because when people got they got a million questions,
All right, let's do this, boys.
Yep. Let's get it rocking and rolling, guys.
Got it.
Just listen.
There was a little skepticism because I knew, oral peptides weren't really a thing. Focused, energized, and hydrated. And dude, from the first dose of that stuff, man, my brain just quieted.
Procedures on my shoulder, and within 3 weeks, I had full mobility.
The opportunity here is incredible.
The breakthrough begins the moment you decide.
Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate taking the time to hang out with us, and welcome to Make Men Talk. We created this space for men who want more than just a workout, more energy, more clarity, and more control over their health. We are here to have real conversations about training, mindset, family, pressure, and purpose, and how taking control of your health can truly transform your entire life. Make isn't about shortcuts. It's about restoring the signals so your body can work the way it's supposed to, so your effort actually yields results. No hype, no pretending, just men striving to grow, to become better men. Welcome, and let's make it happen, guys.
All right. Hey, everybody. Sean O'Quinn here. Listen, we got a good guy for you coming on tonight. I just want to let you guys know up front that we're not soliciting any business here. This is strictly for information, right? Make Men Talk wants to bring you value to all areas of your life. So tonight we're going to try and bring value to your financial side of your life, right? Because a lot of guys, I don't know, I'll speak for myself. I don't like asking questions. I didn't know anything about finances, and definitely didn't know anything about investments. So if you're coming in to Make, and we want you to come to Make, we want you to make extra money. We want you to help people. But if you're gonna make a little extra money, then let's put a little bit of that aside, right? You're using Make, you're taking care of your health before your future, right? So let's take care of your finances for your future too. So tonight I'm going to introduce John Cleaver. He's a business coach and financial strategist who challenges men to step up, take ownership in their money, and build a legacy that actually lasts. As co-host of the Prosper in the Kingdom, podcast, that's Prosper in the Kingdom, John equips individuals and families with practical real-world strategies rooted in biblical stewardship, not theory. He teaches a simple but powerful 3M framework: make, manage, and multiply. Make more income, manage it with discipline, multiply it with intention. John isn't speaking from theory, he's lived it. In his mid-30s, he found himself buried in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and realized that his financial life was one strong wind away from falling apart. That wake-up call set him on a path to master how money really works, and now he helps others do the same, and that's why he's here on Make Men Talk. He's a father of 3 adult children, all successful in their own right, and understands firsthand the weight men carry to provide, to lead, and to get it right for the people depending on them. His message is direct. Working hard isn't enough. I think most of us realize that. Without a strategy, income comes and goes, but legacy is built on purpose. John's focus is on execution, not excuses, helping men eliminate debt, build assets, protect their families, and create generational impact. John's quote is, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed." And that's from Proverbs 11:14. And with that, I'm going to introduce you all to John Cleaver. John, how you doing today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing awesome. I'm excited to be here, and I representing the blue. I know you're wearing your purple shirt for a reason. Sean and I had a conversation. My youngest son is actually a pitcher at Kentucky. We had a rough weekend at LSU. That's all I'll say. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's baseball and it's baseball in the SEC, so you never really know what's going to happen. We just got lucky
no,
this weekend.
no.
So John, let me tell y'all a little bit about John. John's been he's been in the financial planning and financial area industry for 30 years. Him and his partner Wendy Lee they're 500K mentors and 15K premier. Okay, so I'm telling you that to let you know that this isn't just some guy off the street. There's a lot of validity to John and what he's done with Make, and obviously what he's doing in his podcast, Prosper in the Kingdom, where they teach financial freedom to people. Okay, so John, let me ask you a question. What made y'all come to Make? What was the hook? Like, what brought you here?
So I'm not a network marketing guy, right? I just, I never have been attracted to. No, I'm just being
No,
transparent.
me,
But
me too.
I know a good product when I see it. And Wendy had been involved in a couple of network marketing things in the past. And I've done finance for 30 plus years. My last job was working at a hedge fund doing real estate. So that's money's been my world. But I'm post 50 and I want to stay healthy. I don't just want to make money and then not be physically fit to be able to enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
So once I realized, hey, these products are actually good. I'm not a injectable, let's take a bunch of pharmaceutical kind of guy. I'm more holistic. So when she introduced me to the product and I started using the product, we joined as one of the founders, early on. And I started using the products and started to see a real difference. And then I started I'd never heard of Justin Prince before.
Hmm.
And started getting around the group and getting, just going to some of the events and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, this is a guy I can get behind and the products speak for themselves. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm in, man, let's do this. So, obviously the financial path is still my main thing, but I love the environment Make has. And like I said, the products are great and what they're trying to do. And the 3M framework, the first word is make. So it's kind of slipped in there a little bit.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people are lost when it comes to financial guidance. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? As everybody and their brother wants to help, and if you're like, hey, do you know somebody? It's kind of like a lawyer. Yeah, everybody knows a lawyer, but that they don't. The information doesn't stick, and I think that sometimes it's explained at such a high level that they get that glaze over their eyes, and it goes right through them.
That's
Right?
exactly what it is, man. That's exactly. And I used to have a financial advisor, right? Back in the day. I've been in finance, but I was in banking and stuff like that, not in the actual specific financial planning piece. So it's kind of a
Mhm.
different thing. And what I realized is most traditional advisors out there, and there's some good ones, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not trying to just knock everybody holistically, but they want to impress you with what they know. So they talk way over your head, and people, I was one of them, right? I didn't want to feel stupid asking questions. So I'm just like, well, okay, you know what you're talking about, right? I'm just gonna trust you, cross fingers, and hope it works out. And what I realized when I got, like I said, mid 30s, I was in debt. I was making great money. I was a VP at a bank at 29. So I mean, I've been an achiever.
Mhm.
Um, but I wasn't getting ahead financially with building wealth. And so I'm like, okay, something's broken here. I'm doing the 401k thing, listening to, the basic stuff. And I realized it wasn't really working. I started doing volunteer work for a group called Crown Financial Ministries. Think, kind of Dave Ramsey, but more biblically based, less yelling at you and calling you names, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and so, I got plugged into that world. But the problem with that, Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, is they teach the 101 stuff, right? If you're laying on the side of the road bleeding out, you want that ambulance showing up, right? And that's what they do.
Yeah.
But you're trying to build wealth. I'm not going to go try to get physically fit and go chase down my ENT and say, okay, you patched me up. Now help me get healthy, right? That's not what
Right.
they do. And so that's where Prospering the Kingdom kind of came from. So we are focused on education. teaching people the bit because it's a lot simpler than most people realize. And I guarantee, take some notes while we're going through tonight. You're going to walk out of here knowing more about money than you did walking in because it's a
Good.
simple process.
And I don't know. I'm gonna ask a stupid question. So, is it a process where, man, I only have an extra $200 a month? Can you guide me down a path with $200 a month?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, it's one of those things that only the wealthy get access to financial planners, right? They all want, $1 million or more. You see, I don't know if you see Fisher Investments advertised. I just shake my head every time I see it, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you have a million or more, come and talk to us. We'll show you what to do with it. If you don't have a million yet, go fly a kite. And that's like those are the people that actually need the help. So, my whole thing, I was a poor kid growing up, man. I got lucky. I stayed out of trouble in high school, got a scholarship to a state school in Indiana. I went to Ball State, did my undergrad, and then went on and got a master's degree. But got into banking and thought, man, I've arrived. And then I realized, no, now you're part of the machine. Go make some money, pay some taxes, and be quiet. That's kind of what it's all about. So, really kind of diving in and saying, hey, I want to meet people where they're at. So I've got high net worth clients that are putting away multiple thousands a month, right? I've
Yeah.
got people like, hey, I'm just getting started. What can I do? Let's get you out of debt, and then let's start where you are. And then as you make more money, and I'm going to talk about this tonight, you start increasing your wealth stack rather than just your lifestyle.
Awesome, man. Well, look, let's dive into it and let's educate me.
All right, man. Let me get this working here.
Yes,
And
sir.
all right, give me a thumbs up if you can see what we're talking about. You guys see my screen? All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. So this is an interactive thing, right? So this is what we've created called the 3M framework. It's make, manage, and multiply. So we want to show you how, important it is to make money. Most of us know that, right? You guys know, go out, hustle, get a side hustle, whatever. Especially men, right? We want to support our families or whatever the case may be. The buck stops with you, so to speak, which is, it's good, but it's also, a lot of pressure. But we also want to teach you to be intentional. You got to think of the money you make like a seed, right? You go and plant seed. If you're a gardener, now's the time of year, right? You go and plant some seed in the ground, and all of a sudden you got a big, bountiful crop by the end of the season. Well, unfortunately, most people eat most of that seed before they ever put it in the ground and then multiply it. That's really what it's all about, right? It's not just about making money, sitting on it because of fear or whatever the case may be. It's really kind of, diving in what we do. So before I get started, the attorneys always like me to show this, right? Tonight's only for educational purposes. It's not intended as financial, investment, or tax advice. Every situation's different. And so I just want to make that crystal clear. Make sure you consult with a qualified professional before making a financial decision. If you don't have one, I'd love to be that guy. We're not affiliated with any specifics. We do our own thing. So we kind of aggregate all these different companies and solutions out there and then bring them to the person that we're working with or the family we're working with. Again, as you said earlier, this is not a solicitation for any product or service, but just a lot of great information. So make sure if you don't have a pen, you're taking some notes. So looking at it from a male's perspective, right? A guy's perspective, here's what most men avoid, right? And again, it's not working harder. It's what happens to your money when you make it. I mean, you guys, here it is, it's 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. You guys are on here rather than watching TV like most people. So it's not because you're lazy or anything like that. It's just we don't understand how it all works. And this is, you got to think of this like a big game, right? If we're playing the game of life and you've never played it before, right, Mark? And you don't know the rules, and Sean and I have been playing this thing every week, we're going to dominate you. Why? Because we know how to play it. We know the rules, things like that. But unfortunately, they don't teach us this stuff in school, right? That's by design, whole other conversation over a beer sometime. But it's one of those things that we don't know what we don't know. So we just do what everybody else is doing, go out, make money, and think that's going to solve the problem. The reality is that high income does not equal wealth. You see it all the time. People look wealthy. They're on social media, showing the cars, showing the flashy watches, people sitting on private planes and stuff like that are up in first class. But most of us, reality, and you think of your own self, this is a rhetorical question, but think of yourself, most men are one disruption away from total chaos or stress in their life, right? Loss of a job. What would you do if you lost your income? Or a spouse, say something happened to your spouse and you lost that income. And with what's going on in the economy, things like that, responsibilities are rising faster than control of your money. And the reality is money's coming in, but it's not staying. It's just going out. And most of us have no clue where it's going, right? So what do we teach? Well, it's all about the structure. Okay. Most money is spent, like I said, before it's ever directed. And most people aren't being intentional with their money or being good stewards with their money. Kind of look at it from a biblical perspective. And what I'm not talking about is, oh, I have a Starbucks. Should I feel guilty about that? No, not at all, man. But you've got to look at every single dollar that comes in as a piece of your life that you sold, somewhere, either through activity or service or something like that, right? So you need to be intentional with it. So you need to direct it and tell it what to do. I joke with people that if you've got kids, you'll understand this. Imagine, raising your kids, but never telling them what to do, just letting them kind of figure it out on their own and just making sure they didn't run out into traffic. They wouldn't turn out very well, right? You've got to tell them what to do. Your money is no different. Okay. Most people's financial decisions are reactive. Oh, a big bill came in, I got to pay it. A crisis happened, we got to cover it. And usually that goes to running credit cards or anything like that. Nothing's intentional, nothing's planned out. It's kind of the what ifs are going to happen. And you've got no system, again, telling your money where to go. And what happens, like I said, we just start spending it. We make a little more, lifestyle increases, make a little more. I'm not going to afford that new truck or whatever, that boat, right? And everybody bust out another 1,000. That's what boats stand for. If you haven't bought one yet.
Exactly.
So it's a reality check. But again, what you don't direct is going to just disappear from you. And it's like a bucket with water, right? And I know I'm blowing through this kind of fast, but I want to make sure we got time for questions. But you look at most of what you earn doesn't stay. Okay, most of what you earn doesn't stay. Think about, number one, think about, do you have a budget in place? And I know everybody kind of cringes when I say the word budget. I like to call it a spending plan because I'm going to plan to spend some money today. I mean, I'm down in New Orleans now. We were up in Baton Rouge. My son, was up there with his team. We had a rough weekend, so I came to kind of wallow in my sorrow down in New Orleans for a couple of days because I love this city. So it's not like you can't do stuff, but again, if you're not intentional with it, those big decisions you make quietly pull money away. Okay. And one of the things I coach on is whenever you get really empowered with your money and you understand how powerful a spending plan is, you start really just 10xing your money as far as what you can do with it, right? The opportunity. And here's what I mean by that. So you look at, making money, or even if you have a budget, most people don't even look at a budget correctly. They think it's keeping track of what you spent. Okay. Like that's reactive, right? That's past. It's already gone. There's nothing you can do about it. What you want to do is put a spending plan in place. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm going to direct this amount towards fuel for my car, this amount towards fund money, this amount towards, groceries or whatever the case may be. And you go through your entire spending plan like that. And you kind of lock it into place as far as, once I hit that number, for example, my fund money with, Wendy may be $300 for the month. Okay. Just going out and, for dinner or drinks with friends or whatever. Well, if it's the 15th of the month and we hit that number, you've got to have the discipline to say, all right, we're not going to meet you now. You guys, why don't you come over here? We'll do, game night in at my house, BYOB or whatever the case may be. Again, you just got to, be intentional about that money. The problem is the more we make, it really hides the money problems, right? Because we just throw more money at it. Oh, we had a big month. And I don't know about you guys. I mean, if you've ever been involved in any network markets, I had a good buddy of mine worked at Avocare, right? And that's a challenge with make money, network marketing money, is we think it's going to be there forever. Now, I don't get aligned with companies that I think are going to be here today, gone tomorrow. That's why when I met Justin, I'm like, okay, this guy knows his stuff. I'm going to plant my flag with Make, but again, it's my side business. I don't call it a side hustle. It's my side business with Wendy. But looking at it, that money that's coming in, I'm not just blowing it, right? Hey, let's stack more wealth, right? Let's go out. I'm getting ready to buy a couple short-term rentals. Okay. Some Airbnbs, trying to move some money around, creating more revenue to again, do it again. But I've got a system for that. And if you don't have a system, money in, money out. Right? You're making it and it's gone. And the minute something happens, comp plan changes. Like I said, my buddy at Avocare is a 750 earner. and they changed their plan to no longer allow teams, and all of a sudden it was gone. And there have been other organizations out there, but it doesn't even have to be network marketing. When I was in my corporate gig, I got laid off 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And every time I'm like, this is, just go out and, get another job, right? That's the same story. And what that is that's just, it's the same story, just a new chapter. And that last time I'm like, all right, God, show me a path where I can do something I love to do. And I never have to worry about money again. And that's where I got into this. And now, I'm my own boss. I get to come and go as I please. And that's the freedom piece. That's more important to me than the money, is the freedom, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys agree with me on that. That's why we're kind of doing all this, right? It's that financial freedom and that freedom from your double SOB, which is what a boss is spelled backwards. So looking at, what's the challenge? Most people, like I said, were never taught about this. We were taught how to earn, not how to build. Are you thinking about taxes? Once I crossed 75,000 in my own company, I started an LLC and with an S corp, right? Why? I want to keep more of my taxes. You can control your taxes as much as your income, right? And then one of the things I teach is, if you look at it, there's only 3 ways to grow monies. That's it. Legally in the United States. I'm about to show you that, right? And there's only 3 ways your money is going to get taxed in America, and you have control over both. Okay. One of the things that I did here recently was sold some land that I had. It was a pretty decent investment, and I did what's called a 1031 exchange. Saved me $40,000 in taxes. Not going to go into that tonight, what a 1031 is, but again, it's the game of life, right? Taxes are just another game. You got to know the rule books, or if not, build a team around you, okay, that knows this stuff. You don't have to be the expert. Don't try to figure it out on Google. Get some people around you that know taxes, right? Get some people around you that know investments, that know, company structure, things like that. And that's the beautiful thing. You don't have to be reinvent the wheel. Just figure out what works and then kind of put it all together with some guidance. Same thing on the taxes. And then again, so few people I talk to are intentional with their structure on both of those. They're just throwing money in a 401k. A lot of self-employed, and I hope you guys aren't on this. I'm sure you're not, but a lot of self-employed people, they'll get around to it. I think, oh, I'm just going to make this money forever. Or, with traditional business owners, they think they're going to sell their business to somebody else for a huge lump sum, which creates a whole other tax nightmare, right? If they even get it. Okay. And that's the thing, that nobody has an exit structure on their business. So again, it goes back to what Sean was saying earlier, man. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, right? Proverbs 21:5. So here's how you grow money. And I'm going to get in a little bit of the weeds here, but not too bad. So when it all comes down to it, guys, and I know, Sean, you were talking about this earlier, financial advisors like throw out all these big words and this, and that, and the other. So, what I found when I was coming up is I need to figure this out. They didn't teach it to me in college. I wasn't learning it at work or anything like that. So I started surrounding myself with people who made a lot more than me and were doing a lot of things differently. Wealthy people are not getting wealthy by putting money in a 401k, right? They're just not. They're doing other things. Okay. That may be a little part of it. The other piece was I started consuming every bit of literature I could get my hands on how to build wealth, how to become wealthy, and the different strategies and this and the other. And you'll have people that love something or people that hate the same thing. So what it does is creates a lot of noise out there. And so what we do is just kind of boil it all up, boil it all down. Okay. So here's how you're going to grow money in America. Okay. The first one, you guys know this. The first one is fixed. Okay. Fixed rate of return. Savings accounts, CDs, the nice thing about that, it's predictable and I got low risk. I see a lot of people doing this. If they don't know what to do, they want to protect it, right? They focus on the protection piece. And so I'm going to put it in a fixed account and just hope it all works out, right? But the problem with that is whenever you've got something that's, super safe and fixed, you get a low growth rate. Okay. You look at CDs right now, I think CDs are paying, 3%, money market accounts, maybe, 3 or 5, somewhere in there. Whole life policies, the same deal. A lot of people talk about whole life insurance with things like that. You're getting, 5%. Well, if inflation's 3 to 4, what are you really growing there? Right.
Right.
And so one of the concepts, and I'm just going to throw this out here, write this down in your notes if you're taking notes, because this is why it's important. It's called the rule of 72. Okay. Super simple. Super simple, but this is going to tell you how fast or how slow your money's going to double. Okay, so I'm going to throw this out here real quick. In the chat, I'm going to ask a question. I want you guys to guess on how fast or how slow this is going to take, right? So if I gave you $10,000, again, this is educational purposes only, nobody's getting 10 grand. So if I gave you $10,000 and I said, hey, you're going to put this in your savings account at 0.25%, you got a savings account with B of A. It's got to double one time and then you get to keep the whole amount. So it's just got to double from 10 to 20,000. Everybody in the chat, and this is the participation part, how many years do you think that would take? What do you guys think? All right, we got a few people answering here. All right, 100, that's good. 13. I've been filling my Roth for 13 years now. Okay, 25, 40. So this is where the rule of 72 comes in. Okay, all you do is you take whatever rate of return you're getting. 15, okay, that's a good guess. Whatever you do, whatever rate of return you're getting, you divide 72 into it. Okay. For example, if I had a 1% rate of return, 72 divided by 1 is 72 years. But you're not at 1%, right? You're at 0.25%. So it's not 13, 15, or it's 288 years. George Washington's still waiting on that cash, right? And that's the problem. That simple little rule right there, they don't teach us. Now, here's the other thing, and I'm not even going to touch on this. Credit cards work in reverse against you. That's why debt is so important to get out of there. So I don't like fixed. Okay. So what do I want to go on? We go to the next one, which is variable. And this is what everybody knows, right? Traditional advisors say, oh, you got to be in the market. You got to be in the market, right? Get those high returns. They want AUM, assets under management, because they pay you a fee, right? Or you pay them a fee, excuse me. So they charge you a point to 2 points. Hey, you go in and you make money. Here's my percent or two. You lose money, guess what? You still pay them. I equate that to, if I pay a guy to mow my property and he does good work, I'm going to give him the $100, right? If he comes over and doesn't do it, but still wants the $100, I got a little bit of a problem with that, right? But that's the variable. So everybody tries to time it to that very tip-top point there. But even if you manage to hit it and nobody does, you lose something in these valleys called time. Okay. Think of this realistically. You're going to work 30, 35 years. And that's when you're saving, right? All the numbers we see from traditional advisors, things like that, they talk about average rate of return, average rate of return. You're going to get 7% over the next 30 years. That's not true. So Gen Xers on here, I want you to hear me on this, okay? Everybody's impacted. Gen X has really got screwed on this. So you look at 2000 to 2012, okay? It was 12 years, but they call it the lost decade, okay? And you can Google this when we're done with tonight. I'm not making this up. We did not grow at all during that 10-year period. Okay. If you had 100,000 in 2000 and it was sitting in an account, it started going up. And then just a little bit after that, what happened? Well, we had Y2K, 9/11, and then we had the dot-com bubble. And so it went into the floor. Then it started coming back like the market does, right? And then guess what happened? Right about the time we almost got whole again, 2007, 2008, and it dropped again. And so when you hear, oh, don't worry about it, you'll get your money back, you will. And I got my money back when I lost in 08, right? But I didn't get it back until 2013. Okay. So all of that time I lost, I can never get that back. So you lose something a lot more valuable here, you lose that time. Okay. So higher potential, but very volatile. And Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, has one rule: don't lose money. Okay. But variable, I get strong upsides, and the downsides are going to hit me just as hard. So then there's a third area called indexing. Okay. You hear a lot about this: index funds, ETF, EFTs, things like that.
Can we, hey John, can we
Yeah.
take a break for a second before you get into the index funds and
Yeah.
let I want Brian to go ahead and talk to the guys that are on here about Make Wellness itself.
Yeah. Do you want me to stop share?
Nah, you could just talk.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to stop sharing. Guys, I just want to tell you the truth. This isn't about supplements or side hustle, man. This is about ownership of your health, your influence, your example. Make exists because men are tired of being tired. We refuse to accept decline as normal. When
Mhm.
you join Make as an affiliate, you're not just sharing products, you're sharing a signal that says, I'm done settling. You help men feel stronger, think clearer, and show up better. And yes, you get paid for creating real impact. If you're already using Make and seeing the change, the question is simple. Who are you not helping by staying silent? This is Make Men Talk. We don't just talk about better men, we build them. If you are ready to join us here at Make or like what you have heard and want to learn more, get back with the person who invited you to this call tonight. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. All right, let's get into that index account.
So this is the third stuff, and I love what you said, man. And that's what this is all about. It's just like ownership in your business. This is ownership of your money, man. I mean, take control over it. Take control over your whole life. So the index funds. So this is the third way, right? So index kind of it's balance of growth and protection. So IULs, index annuities, things like that, LERPs. These are market linked growth without market loss. So you get market returns, 10%, 15%, 20% market driven returns, but a lot of them have hedges where when you get the gains, you get the gains and that's you get to keep those, right? But when the market goes down, because it does, you have a hedge, you don't gain that year, but you don't lose any of your money. So that way, when you pick up the next year, when the market picks back up and starts growing again, you don't have to spend 3, 4, 5 years trying to get your lost money back. You pick up right where you left off. And that's the beauty of it. So you get the protection and the potential. So if you had to pick fixed, variable, or index, sound off in the chat room, which one would you have? Fixed, variable, index. If you were going to pick how you grew your money and you had the choice, what would you pick?
Indexed.
Okay, index. Okay, Mark's liking variable. All right, index. All right. So that's only half the equation. All right. So the reality is it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you actually get to keep. Okay. Why? Well, what am I talking about here? Taxes. Now I moved to Tennessee. Why did I move to Tennessee? Because there's no state income tax. Okay. I'm 55. Time isn't on my side. No, that's for sure, man. But it's never too late. It's never too late. So you look at the taxes. Again, there's three ways you're going to get taxed in America. So the first one is going to be, oh, hold on a second here. The first one is going to be taxable. That's tax now. You get your paycheck, you look, some of it's missing. The IRS has taken their chunk. Your state maybe took some money as well. I always joke with people too that I still pay federal taxes just like you do, right? The government loves their acronyms. If you write down those two words together, the IRS, that's who we pay. What does it spell without the space? THEIRS, it spells theirs because they're going to figure out a way to get theirs out of your pocket, right? That's their job. So savings accounts, brokerage accounts, basically your tax coming in and your tax going out. So what's the next one? Well, that's the tax later, right? This is your IRAs you were talking about, Mark, right? The variable, the 401ks, 403bs. The problem with that, though, is you don't know what tax rate you're going to face when you go to retire because you don't pay taxes today. Taxes are at historical lows comparatively in the United States. Right now, our highest tax bracket, I think, is at 37. It's been as high as 96. You go back to when some of us were kids, it was in the 70s. So they've done it once, and you guys see what's going on with the debt. They didn't stop spending when they cut taxes. They kept spending. Now we're at 35 trillion and counting. So odds are, if you were betting man, do you think taxes are going to go down or go up by the time you retire?
They're going
Probably
up.
go up. Yeah. So that's why the government allows us to put so much more money in pre-tax accounts than they do in Roths, because they know that they're going to need more money down the road. So they're going to let you grow, knowing that you're going to give up about 30% of it as their money. It's not yours. Okay. So then you've got tax-free on the growth, or like I like to call it tax never, right? So get my paycheck or get my money coming in. I do my thing, minimize my taxes. I put it into, a Roth index strategies, index UL, muni bonds, things like that. I don't have to worry about taxes. Why? Well, because those are tax-free on the growth, meaning taxes go up 4 times what they are today. 0 times 4 is still what? It's still 0. So, looking at the different ways, why would I want to have my money in any of these buckets other than tax-free and index? Well, a lot of different reasons. I have an emergency fund. That's going to be my, fixed account. Put it in a money market account. It's going to be taxed now. I need a little money there. Everybody's got a number. Well, why would everyone do variable and tax deferred? Well, maybe you've got a business. You need a little break on taxes this year, or more than likely, you've got a 401k or a 403b with a match. That's free money. Grab that money all day long. But every penny other than that, I want to get market-driven growth index with no loss, and I want it on tax free. That's that LERP strategy, the index UL strategy I was talking about, right? So that's why it's so critical to have a plan. It's not all your money in one basket. You've got to figure out what your numbers are in each basket so you're being highly efficient with your money. So, kind of to wrap up, our company was built to bring clarity to financial chaos, right? We combine practical strategies with biblical wisdom. We meet people where they are. Hey, where do you want to get started? Where are you trying to go to? Ask yourself if you know the answer to this question. How much do you want to make every single month in retirement? Most people haven't even thought of that. Now, I'm talking realist. What's your plan? And then the second question is, how do you feel about your current plan to get there? And if you're throwing a Hail Mary, I mean, that's a scary place to be because, I don't know if you've walked into a Walmart lately, those greeters, they're not smiling for a reason. They don't want to be there. They're there because they didn't have a plan in place. So that's what we do, right? We teach stewardship, not speculation. We teach people how to make, manage, and multiply that 3M framework. And again, it all begins with alignment on your goals, with your family, what you're trying to do. And it may be different for Mark than Sean. Sean may want to have a island house, with a boat. Mark may want to have a cabin in the woods somewhere, right? Maybe Sean wants to have 50,000 a month coming in. Mark's like, man, I just want peace and quiet. I'm happy with 10,000 a month, whatever the case may be, right? That's why it's so critical that, you have a plan for yourself. So as I came in here today, taking a look, what do we talk about? These are the items you've got to look at with your plan. This is what we walk all of our clients through, right? We look at their cash flow, what's coming in versus what's going out. Are you being intentional with it? Getting rid of debt, how to get rid of that. We work with companies that do restructure. I always focus on the debt snowball first, the emergency fund. Things happen, right? Things happen. So rather than running to a credit card, you've got your funds in place to handle it. Protecting your kingdom, your empire, your family, the risk coverage and things like that. You're building assets. You're building an empire. Why are you not protecting it? Or what are you doing to protect it, right? And then obviously the key, the cornerstone is building that wealth, looking at loss mitigation, liquidity. That's a big one. You won't hear me talk a lot about retirement. You hear me talking about wealth. We teach people how to access that money in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, not just in their 70s and 80s. That way, if a business comes up, you can buy it, right? Rental properties come up, you can buy them, okay? And then preserving and passing it on. If you have kids, I talk to maybe 1 out of 10 families that have a legacy plan in place. Most people don't even have a simple will. And there's 4 documents everybody needs, and you've got to have that. And then once you start making money and building assets, you want to start looking at a family trust to avoid probate and pass that on to your family. So the guys with the Make Men asked me to bring something to the table. So this is what it is. Everybody on here tonight or watching this video is entitled to a free financial plan. Okay, it's free, no strings attached. Get it, don't get it, that's up to you, right? But sit down one-on-one and we'll go through a financial clarity session, right? We'll go through a personal 3M strategy for you, identify those gaps in cash flow, protection, all the different things. Develop a coordinated plan. And then that way you're going to at least know, okay, I'm on track or I'm not on track. And if you like what we do and you want to work with us, great. If not, no big issue, right? Again, I wanted to bring something to the table and just add value to what these guys are doing in this group because this is an awesome environment you guys have created. So I hope everybody appreciates it. If you want to connect with me, one of the other things I want to put out there, my partner and I, Wendy, we have a podcast. It's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and then we also have a YouTube channel. I think we just dropped video 235. 235. So we've been doing it a while, and it's all on different strategies for business owners, for men, for women, looking at kids' college. I mean, there's a ton of information out there. All you got to do is go to johncleaver.com. There's no H in John, just johncleaver.com. All my links are there. Love to connect with you. And yeah, that's what I got, guys.
Dude, I really appreciate that. That was some good information. I think people, if guys, if you haven't done like a financial plan, go ahead and click on that and go ahead and download it and get your feet wet. Okay. See what you need to do. There's a lot of misconceptions about how, how much you need for retirement and what your goals are. And most of y'all, well, I'm not gonna say most of y'all, but a lot of people haven't sat down and actually done that, and then they keep thinking, they're faced with the daily problems, right? Golly, man, freaking basketball season's almost over with. Oh crap! Now we got to start soccer. Now we got to start baseball, and they're so caught up in a daily life, they really don't plan for their financial future, and it's really sad because, they're not putting forth anything, and they're thinking, well, I have a whole life policy. No, you have a sucker policy. There's so many better options out there than a whole life policy for you when you can take that money and get a better return. And it has some, I think it has some merit depending on certain situations, but it's imperative that you sit down and try and figure out a financial plan for your future. And that's why I wanted to get John on. And Brian was like, man, we got to get this guy on. There's so much knowledge here to help people out, to try and to be honest with you, save your future. What are your thoughts on, like, I don't know, on Roth 401ks?
I like Roths. But here's the problem with a Roth, right? You're typically, if you go standalone Roth, right? Because the whole goal here is to be self-employed. You're limited to, 6, maybe 7 grand, depending on your age and things like that. But you can't touch it. 59 and a half. That's a retirement plan. That is not a wealth plan.
Gotcha.
Okay. I want to be crystal clear about that. And again, the other challenge with that is I get market growth, but I also get market loss. Okay. So you look at, if I'm comparing apples to apples, if I can get market growth on both, okay, I like both. Well, one strategy has market loss, the other one protects you against market loss.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But I like the Roth just because of the taxes. Guys, you can look and see what's going on, right? I've got a little bit of crypto, right? Crypto's like Vegas. Okay.
That was my next question. So what are your thoughts on like Bitcoin? I mean, there's a lot of crypto out there, and a lot of places are only accepting payment in Bitcoin. And if I'm 55 years old, dude, I'm still collecting silver dollars, and you guys are talking about Bitcoin. I can't pay
here's
for
the reality
nothing.
of it, man. So the reality of it is crypto, crypto is one of those things, and I'll be straight up with you guys. I hated it when it came out. I'm like, this is monopoly money. People are just making crap up, right? Because you had the meme coins, Pepe, and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, it started gaining traction. Okay. But I tell people, and I tell my clients, 5%, maybe 10, right? At most of your portfolio. Okay. Why? It's like Vegas. Okay. You look at Bitcoin. What was it trading at, 60 days ago? 120,000, 130,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Then it went down to like 87 or 82.
Oh, no, it went down to 60.
60s.
Now,
it was in the 60s, mid 60s.
Yeah, it was in the 60s, right? So you've got to realize the closer you guys get, it's like football, right? The closer you guys get to your retirement age, you're in the red zone of retirement is what I call it, right? You can't be focusing on growth, right? Even if you're behind the 8 ball, because you don't have time for the makeup, okay? You don't have time to recover from those losses, okay? It's all about earn, protect, right? The blocking and tackling while you're growing. You're 20, roll those dice, see what happens. You got time to make up the mistakes, right? But again, Bitcoin, stay away from meme coins, like Pepe and Doge and all that stuff. Can you make some money on it? Yeah. Is it predictable? Not really. I mean, I've got multiple Bitcoins. XRP I like, right? If the Clarity Act ever gets passed, I think that's going to be something. And I started buying that when it was like 40 cents.
Yeah, I think I got it at like 22 cents.
It went up to like 3 something, but I think now I haven't checked it lately, but it's like $1.50 or $1.40 or somewhere in there.
I think it was $1.20 something the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, but 5%. But everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to put it in that and I'm going to win big, right? It's just like lottery tickets. There's a big segment of our society, right? That, hey, I'm going to jump in and buy my lottery ticket. Somebody's got to win it. The guy in Arkansas won, 1 point whatever billion, right? But it's the chances of that happening are, again, going back to don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
So
go ahead.
Sorry. So Bitcoin, let me ask you this. What's backed? What is that? Explain that to people. What's it backed by? I mean, like gold, what gold's backed by? It's backed by a freaking brick of gold. But Bitcoin is this mysterious thing that you can't put your hands on, that's in an app on your phone, and it's like, what the hell is a Bitcoin? And what? I mean, I can't buy it at Walmart.
It's all ball bearings these days, Sean. It's ball bearings, but not everything. If you've seen Fletch, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So you look at what is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like the gold of the crypto world, right? It's stable, it's proven. Here's the real challenge. I've got some Bitcoin, but here's the real challenge about Bitcoin. And I heard, I follow some, a bunch of different news, not channels, but news feeds. And the challenge with Bitcoin is nobody knows who created it. And Elon Musk has even come out, I think, and said once people find out, or if they ever find out, it's going to be like a big, oh crap. I don't know what that means. He talks a lot, so who knows? I've got Bitcoin, but am I going to put everything in Bitcoin? No, because it goes up and then goes down, right?
Yeah, but we don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Well,
Somebody
it's
came out
true.
and said, "Hey,
So
Bitcoin."
you look at like XRP, XLM, HBAR, those kind of coins, right? Those are utility coins. Okay, those serve a purpose. Okay, you've got meme coins that are just like Sean and I start a coin, and then we're like, hey, we're gonna get Ben to buy it. We're gonna tell him it's $2, and he's gonna buy it and tell Bruce, hey, Bruce, this is great, man. You need some too. So Bruce buys some, so the value goes up. That's what meme coins are. But the utility coins, I think there's some value there. I'm really hot on XRP, HBAR. Trump family just started one. I think it's Wi-Fi. I bought a little of that just to see, just because they've got their finger in that, and they know how to make money. So we'll see. But I think I bought like $300 worth. I mean, like nothing, right?
Yeah.
But you can't plan on a financial future like that. Go, especially for our age group, you've got to go with what's going on in the game, right? In the system. That's your market-driven returns. Okay. So how do I make market-driven returns and protect them? That's why I'm a big fan of indexing. Warren Buffett, I kind of go to his school of thought. Rule number one about money, don't lose it.
Don't lose it.
Rule number two is see rule number one. Because when you lose money, like if you have money go down 10%, right? If your money goes down 10% this year, you've got to make like 13, 14 to get your money back because you're growing on a smaller amount, right? And you've got to be very careful about average rate of return because the average rate of return is what people look at. It's a lie, right? You can manipulate that, right? So, I mean, here's a quick example. Let's say Dennis, right? He's Mr. Market Guy, right? He has a $100 bill. He goes and puts that in the market and, he grows 50% one year. He's telling everybody, right? Because that's what people do on social media. Look at him killing it, right? Well, the market corrects the next year and it goes down 50. So 50 up, 50 down. His average rate of return is 0. Okay. Let's say Sean, he's Mr. Skeptical, hey, I'm going to put my money in a shoebox under my bed. So he puts it in the box, pulls it out a year later, it's $100 still there. So he had a 0% rate of return. The next year, pulls it out again, it's still there, 100. So 0 and 0, his average rate of return is 0. So they both have a 0 rate of return. Who's got more money or do they have the same?
If you're not factoring in inflation, then it's the same.
Yeah,
but
Mark shouldn't be a finance guy. He's trying to complicate it all.
Yeah.
Here's a simple
I
number. I try to keep it
$100.
simple, Mark. I try to keep it simple. So
Okay,
here's the
all right,
reality.
all right. I'm just checking. Okay, all right.
No. So does Sean have more money? Does Dennis have more money, or do they have the same? What do you guys think?
Sean's got more money.
Sean's got more money. Why? Because Dennis went up 50%, right? So he's got 150, and then he lost 50%. So he's down to
lost
75.
Yep.
You still got your 100, but both your rate of returns are 0. How is that possible? Yeah. That's where you got to look at real rate of return, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happens when that average rate of return, it doesn't factor in effectively the loss years, right? And so that's one of the things that when I started hearing this stuff, guys, I got pissed off because I had an advisor and my advisor knew about a lot of this stuff. And I'm like, Patrick, why didn't you tell me about it? Well, we wanted to keep your account in certain market-driven, blah, 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 blah. Why? Because I'm making 2% off you a year and I didn't want that.
Because it's fee-based.
That's exactly right, man. And I'm like, you know what? You're fired. Well, why?
That's right.
Keep partying. I'm out. So
Yep.
Yeah, and then so that's the thing. I started sharing this with people, and I'm like bought all in. So
yeah.
Well, man, look, we really appreciate it. This is some great information. I can't wait to put it out there and share it with everybody else. We just loved having you on. Thank you for your time. And
yeah, not a problem, man.
Yeah, you guys, if any of you guys on here didn't get that free financial plan, just message me and I'll get it from John and I'll share it with everybody and we'll drop into some message boards and stuff like that. John said something last night when we were talking and it made perfect sense to me. And I kind of want to close with this because I feel like the financial planning and your health they coincide with this, right? And what John said was, you can start this anytime, but you have to start, right? So the same thing goes with your health,
Yep.
and the same thing goes with your financial planning.
Here's the
Thank
reality of it, guys. And just if I can add one more thing. I mean, I know we got a couple of women on here too, but guys, life, the buck stops with us, man. Everybody looks to us, right? And we don't really have a whole lot of people that we can actually go cry on a shoulder, get a hug. I mean, we got, your brother from another mother and all that. And I get that. That's why this group is so critical. But you've got to stay healthy, man. The last thing you want to do is build an amazing business and then not be healthy enough to enjoy the fruits of that, right?
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
why I locked in on this, man, because I work with a lot of people that they're financially well off for getting there, but their health is just jacked up. And it's like, man, you gotta look at all this stuff. And you start talking natural peptides, look at all the fallout. I know we're not supposed to talk about GLP-1s and all that, but look at all the fallout of the stuff happening health-wise because of that other stuff. And we can either support that through some natural stuff to kind of, I love how they aligned everything with it, but another better objective and just helping each other get healthier, but also healthy, and the other side too, you don't want to be in great shape and be broke as a joke. So I mean,
yeah, your financial having all the money in the world won't do you any good if you don't have your poor health, right? I mean, if you got
exactly.
what does Justin say? If you can have a million wishes, but if you have bad health, you only have one wish.
Yep. You ask somebody on their deathbed, man, you want $10 million or 10 more years? 10 more years every time.
Every time.
Every single time.
Every time.
John, thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot,
John.
buddy.
Thanks, John.
All right, guys. Thanks for
appreciate
having
it,
me.
buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
I appreciate you all.
Take
Thanks,
care.
guys, for showing up tonight.